All right, I'll call this meeting to order at 8:02. And ask for approval of the agenda. So moved. Motion by Ted. Support. Support by Barry, thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Public comment? Seeing none. Old business, approval for $5,000 for Sleigh Bell Television production to market and promote downtown Manistee Sleigh Bell Parade.
Is that a normal expense, annual expense?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Can somebody expand on that?
It's something new that they want to try this year, but they wanted, in order to not limit the event this upcoming year, they wanted to ask for an approval for an extension.
It's within, but it's within the budget?
No.
No, they're asking to add
Asking for
this.
an additional. Okay.
Yes.
What, do we know what they intend to do in terms of the market and promoting it? Methods are?
I'll give a little bit more background because this is something that has been done in the past, but it has not been done the last few years. There's a firm out of Grand Rapids that has been contracted in the past to come up. I think they did it 2 years, and Dave Mix and Tony Trucks would generally MC it. They'd have a little platform, kind of give commentary as the parade entries go by. The last time this was done, it was supposed to also then have been live streamed and broadcast at a couple outlets around the state, but due to technical issues, that never happened. And at the time, I said, well, do we then get some more money back since we didn't get everything that we were promised? And the answer was no. So I just have lots of questions about the cost. I think that if this is something that the committee really wanted to do, that there are local resources that maybe could do something similar for a lot less money. And also in talking to the new Sleigh Bell chair, she wasn't even sure this was something that she was fully behind yet.
Yeah, and I read the whole thing wrong. I thought they were going to be doing some advanced promotions, doing some, TV ads or something like that. I was aware of what had been done in the past, but I didn't
This is that.
read this the same.
Yeah.
Okay, that helps.
So I would request that we table this, I make a motion to table this until next month so that either the Sleigh Bell chair or Dave Mix, who I think is in charge of this project, would be here to give us a little more background information and maybe an opportunity to ask questions.
I support that motion.
Okay, thank you. Motion and support. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think it's important that the chair be fully on board and supportive of this before we move forward.
Can we reach out to Kendra prior to next meeting or whenever she can? Is time of the essence on this now, or?
She hasn't indicated
Okay.
that it is.
Okay,
She wasn't able to make it to today's meeting because of the time, but I'll ask
okay,
what
great.
her options are.
Thank you. Okay, any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Under new business, approval of Ramsdale Theater contracts.
You missed one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. Approval for budget amendment for $1,000 out of the general fund for additional $248,902 legal fees. What's that mean?
Was that just general expenses or was it private specific?
We've gone
private?
through our budgeted amount and we've got the 2 contracts coming up plus policy creation, but I don't have any funds left.
So what was our budgeted amount?
I think, I don't know that at the top of my head.
So is $1,000 going to be enough to get us through the rest of the year?
I don't know the answer to that question. I believe the 1,000 is because that's how much I've spent in the first 6 months.
Are there any bills pending right now?
No.
Okay. I guess I would just ask you that you get the answers that Barry's posed and take it at the next meeting. Just find out, do a projection of, you know, what we're gonna need to get through the end of the month, and then find out, you know, what beyond the 2 contracts that we might have. That's all I ask.
And our current budgeted amount.
So I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Okay, motion by Pat,
Support.
support from Barry. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, new business. Approval of Ramsdale Theater contract for Spark Manistee competitions. Is this for next year?
It's the next 4
21
years.
and 2022.
Okay, sorry. Is,
Why is this coming to us now?
Because we don't currently have a contract with them, and they would prefer that we do, so that they understand the expectations, of what's involved in running the event, and we understand
Okay,
what
so-
they're offering.
is there a savings to commit to 2 more years?
They did put discounted amounts in there.
So how much did we pay for the event this past weekend?
Is it the 1180?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable committing just because the event just happened yesterday and
And so last year, we did it in the Vogue. This year, we did it in the Ramsdale.
Last year we also did it.
We did it at the Ramsdale.
We did it? Okay. Okay.
I think it's a wonderful venue for it.
Well, sure, yeah.
Really well. I would just like to see a little bit more detail, and then,
Detail pertaining to,
well, it doesn't really explicitly state in there what we paid this year, just, you know, just to make sure that we're, you know, comparable. And the other thing is, do you know how imperative it is that we lock in the dates? Is that something that, because if it is, we should act on it next meeting. But maybe you can answer this, Caitlin, are we paying the same amount, or will we be paying the same amount in 2021 and 2022 as we did this year?
Yes, all 3 years will be the same amount. Our RCA agrees to offer the same rate through 2022. In the event that the fees will change, we are not subject to rate increases until the new contract is issued in 2023.
so,
To echo Kyle's comments, I'm just uncomfortable committing to multiple years at this point.
I didn't see it in here. Is there anything in there where either party can terminate the contract, given a certain, I didn't see it, I didn't know if I just overlooked it.
I didn't see anything like that either. Are they okay. It says there's a refundable security deposit. Well, that's,
You know, I see we are getting discounts, and that's wonderful, because they are a good partner. My major concern was, I wanted to make sure that what the rates were going to be for subsequent years and how that related to this year. It seems like they're freezing the rate for the next 2 years, which is good. So that was my major concern. I personally don't have a problem with a 3-year agreement. Well, actually, it would be a 2-year agreement.
so it includes 20.
Yeah. can I rescind my motion?
Did you, what was your motion?
Well, that's okay, it's rescinded.
Okay, so we do,
No one had it done.
we do not have a motion. Shall we move on then?
Well, I will make an additional motion that now that my particular questions are answered, I would move that we approve a 2-year contract with Ramsdale for Spark for 2021 and 2022.
Motion from Pat,
I'll support it.
support from Jody. Any further comments? All, sorry, all for it?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. 3-2. Item 6, board member comments.
I just wanted to congratulate the Spark Committee for a wonderful event. I had a chance to go there Saturday, and it was really good. Well, I was hoping for more turnout. We had about 75 people, but still, it was, I think, well received and well done.
I had a question. There was some comment that I saw on social media about people not being able to get in and vote that weren't on at the theater. Do you know anything about that or have any comment?
I had
about
someone
that?
come up to me afterwards as well.
Uh-huh.
When I asked them after the event what kind of things, we weren't sure. We played with the phone and it came up to the correct site. The people that came up to me weren't overly nervous because the person they were trying to vote for, but it's, yes, we're gonna look into it. Brian's aware of it, Nick's aware of it, Nick's aware of it.
I had that problem. I couldn't connect through my phone for some reason, but they had 3 locations in the back where you could go and vote. So I went up there and voted. So I don't think it hurt the process. It would have been more convenient if we could access the website, but it's something.
I signed the city services agreement last week, and we'll be signing the chamber economic development agreement this afternoon.
Great. And then just a reminder, February 4th, we'll have a public hearing for our DDA development plan.
And that the meeting between our first and second public hearing, I apologize, the 11th, we're talking about blight in Manistee in the downtown district.
Yep.
So that's another
Well,
council work session.
That one it's broader than just the downtown, but there are downtown considerations. They're just talking about blight in general.
It's on the 11th.
Yeah, it's a work session. The council impaneled an ad hoc committee to talk about blight in the community, and they've had a number of meetings. So they're going to come up with some recommendations.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Public comment? None. Item 8, consideration of closed session for executive director performance review. Director Caitlin Farrar has requested a closed session permitted by the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8A, for discussion on executive director 6-month professional review.
Move we go into a closed session as requested.
Motion?
Support.
Support from Jody.
The question I have is, who are we inviting into the closed session?
Well, I would think all board members, Caitlin and Kelly, because she has to take notes or minutes, and then they're held under lock and key for a year, and then after a year, they're destroyed.
Well, I guess, were we expecting to start with Caitlin, or were we going to invite her in later? What process do we envision, Mr. Chair?
I did not intend that Caitlin would be there initially. I'd like some time to discuss
Oh, okay.
the results of all the,
Well, if she's,
So we can, the motion needs to include who can be there. We can.
right, but I think if
Later.
she's requesting to go into closed session, then I don't know that we can exclude her, because it's at her request to discuss her evaluation. And I don't think legally we can go in without her. That would be my interpretation of the law. I know how my evaluations are handled in various different communities. I've always always been in at the start, and we just talk about the evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
I'm
be-
unfamiliar with that.
I would be very, very uncomfortable if we went into closed session as the way it's worded and not include Caitlin.
I agree as the way it's worded, but I
Yeah.
think we could go into closed session for this topic. But because it is worded that because of her request.
I think that's something we might want to get an opinion on if we want to do that going forward, but right now I would prefer just having her come in and get with our evaluation.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second, right? Yeah, Jody? Any further discussion?
That needs to be a roll call.
Roll call.
Kyle Mosher,
Yes.
Tamara DePonio,
Yes.
Barry Lund,
Yes.
Ben Taylor,
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. So there's been a motion and a second and a vote to come out of closed session. I think we discussed it'd be appropriate to set some goals moving forward. Is that the direction we want to move? Okay. Who would like to start?
I think what I'd like to see, is, and I'm gonna ask Caitlin to help us, but I would like to see her create and have approved, well, I don't wanna put approved because that's not within her control, but create for board consideration the following policies. And I think one of them I heard what we needed was finance policy. What other do you think we need, Caitlin?
Agenda processes policy.
Okay. What about board organization?
What does that mean? I don't even understand what that means as far as a policy goes.
You know, how are we organized? What are our roles? What's our interaction between staff and the board? Those kind of things. What's within the board's purview versus staff? So we all know our clearly defined responsibilities.
Responsibilities between board and staff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be helpful. I remember when I was vice chair, I asked Caitlin specifically, what is my role? And it was kind of vague, so it'd be nice to know what's expected. I still don't know what's expected.
Vice chair's policy is that you cover meetings when the chair isn't there.
Yeah.
That's all the policy states.
Is there, I mean, that's 3 in 6 months. Is there another one, or do you think 3's enough?
For policy creation, that would be a good start.
Okay, all right.
And then as far as other goals,
I don't know how to really put it in, she'd have to measure it and provide us measurements, but I just want to see her become more involved in the community. And she can, I guess I'm looking at, you know, this meeting, attended that event, whatever, that then we can measure her success. I just don't know how to really put it into a SMART goal. Jody, do you have any ideas?
I like that you are involved with the chamber. I think that more group and other downtown group or area group involvement is a great thing.
Yeah. So I guess I will leave that up to you to provide us measurables. So you can say, and it can be part of your monthly report. I attended the Manistee Forward. You know, I went to a business after hours. I went to this, I went to that, whatever.
do we want to set as a goal something specific like a project or an effort to meet with all business owners in the district? And obviously, if you're going to try to meet with all, you're at best going to get half, just because of the nature of scheduling and all that. I mean, that's something that maybe, you know, is that something that we're, because I mean, in talking with is more other organizations as opposed to
I
those
agree.
within the district.
I just want to make sure we all understand what a meeting is. I mean, could it be just nothing more than stopping in a store for
Yeah,
5 minutes?
exactly, yep.
Okay, then I'm good with that.
Yeah, right.
About like 2 a month or 3 a month or
I would see
something.
more than that. My thought would be to just say we would like this done, and then she's going to have to convince us that she's doing this based on, she was able to get 5 this week, or whatever. I don't know, because I don't know the right number. I just don't. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
All right. The other one I think maybe we should put together in here is develop a sound budget improvement, or, you know, something like
Yes.
that. Something to do with budget development for fiscal year 2021 that meets the objectives of the DDA. That's what, 4?
One of the things that kind of was in the last 6 months, but also kind of wasn't, was looking at business retention. And I know, Caitlin, you've been working on that. I don't think you would say that it's completed. It's something that's kind of in process. Is that something you think might be something that you could bring to completion in the next 6 months? Or better define, or just something along those lines? It kind of goes hand in hand with meeting the business owners. I mean, it's kind of a piece of that.
Could you partner with the chamber, with Mark, on his retention visits?
We've talked about it, but I don't want to, we want to communicate about our business retention visits, that I'll tell him what I need from the small businesses, he'll tell me what he needs for meeting with the larger companies. That way we aren't both taking, the business retention visit never takes less than an hour. They need to be heard. So we're definitely communicating way better. We're meeting every month and talking about our business retention visits and meet moment.
So very-
Creating that plan,
And I
making it
think
visible.
in how you describe that, you're stating what I'm assuming based on lots of meetings and conversations is that in general, the chamber, as it relates to business retention, is focusing on larger businesses, and we kind of are focusing with your resources on the smaller ones within the district. And that's kind of how we work together. Is it sounds like you're working with Mark so that we're, you know, what you gather, he knows, what he gathers, you know, but there's kind of like the playing field of we'll kind of divide and conquer this way. Is that a correct
Our
summary?
lines aren't strict. It's not that he's not going to businesses within the DDA boundaries, but we're definitely meeting and talking about, well, I went to this summit and I got these grant applications and I'm giving them to you, or I had this question and I'm gonna go to this training, what are your thoughts?
Are we then asking Caitlin to develop a process, or just
Well, we
go
kind of-
through
We kind of have, somewhat informally, and are you working on this topic underneath, I forget the name of Val's committee right now,
The business development
the Business
committee.
Development Committee, is that kind of where this project lives?
Yes,
Okay, is the committee really leading that, or are you leading it and it's just kind of reporting up through them?
it was a focus the first 2 or 3 months that I was here, but since then it's been Spark. And we haven't talked about
That
it
makes sense, so.
in several months.
I just want to make sure the board fully understands what we're asking of her. Are we
Right,
asking her
that's-
to do the retention visits, or to come up with a format to use during retention visits? I just want to make sure we give her good direction.
The reason I bring it up is because it was something that was being worked on, and as you explained it there, that makes sense, is it was an earlier effort, and then Spark with its deadlines came up, and then that kind of got pushed in the background. I just don't want to lose the momentum of what was being done there, because I think it's an important piece of everything that we're doing is really understanding and making sure that we're doing what we can to retain what we have, because every business we lose, it takes 10 times as much effort to replace that.
What I gained from those first 2 or 3 months was an application that we created that asks a variety of questions, but what I want to know after that is what the board would like to hear from those retention visits. But when I sit down with Mark, we're hearing two different things. He's talking to businesses about employee barriers, and I'm talking to my businesses about them staffing their own hobby shops. We need marketing 101. Can't do inventory in the back and be at the front at the same time. I'm hearing about parking. I'm hearing about garbage corrals. I'm hearing about sidewalks. I'm hearing about signage. Would you like me to come back to the board and voice those concerns and be that person?
I think, yeah, I'd like to hear that. My first thought was gotta be very careful what we communicate to the board, because some of that could be somewhat confidential. So if you just have some general concerns, like you're stating right now, that's what we need to know, in my mind, and just the fact that you are doing business retention visits, and maybe the quantity.
So maybe, as a goal, it's to continue retention visits and to deliver a report back to the board on what you discovered, as well as maybe putting together in this period a business retention plan for the board to consider going forward.
Sounds like a lot to do in 6 months.
I
I mean, I'm talking cumulatively.
Yes, I just,
Yeah, yep.
and maybe you just stop at that first part.
No, I don't care, I'm just saying, yeah, we're giving her a lot,
Yep,
and let's keep her focused.
And it's progress, that's,
is.
you know, not perfection, progress.
Yeah.
In addition to these 4 girls, we have the West Shore Community College contracts, both the River Walk and the South Grant, and the Little River Holding contracts that we'll be putting together.
That's part of in my mind, day-to-day operations.
And then I'm gonna raise the question on, in the previous set of goals, there was a specific item there to be supporting the design committee. And I think that maybe is too specific. I think maybe it's just supporting the efforts of the committees of the board. But that's a very slippery slope, because as I've said before, there's enough project that the design committee is doing that can consume her time.
That's why we have chairs. Seriously, I'm serious, that's why we have chairs. And I think if she can communicate with chairs, rather than get bogged down and going to the meetings and get through all that minutia.
Well, but, I mean, writing up RFPs, is that a chair project or is that a staff project?
No, but I'm just suggesting that's her link to the committees and what needs to be done and what she needs to know. So if, using the car corrals as an example, if, you know, it came out of there, they want car corrals and make it known to the executive director, then she's got to work on trying to get those done.
But I don't think that without participating in the discussion, that it's easy for her to then act on something if she wasn't involved.
I just want to make sure that she's not.
I understand, but I'm raising this because if we don't have these conversations, then we're not necessarily all on the same page, and then we're all having different expectations, and she's the one that suffers.
Well, I hope to see that. Do we have on that about developing a job description for you?
Yeah.
Okay, that might be part and parcel of that job description on how she interacts with committees.
Right now, we have two subcommittees, correct?
2 formal subcommittees, but I'll throw out there sleigh bell, that's kind of
Events committee.
events-related stuff, aren't board committees, but yet is where a lot of time and energy goes.
Can you make a recommendation on how you think you should interact with the committees?
Yes,
And report to the board?
yes.
Perfect.
And maybe that's the goal, is
Yep.
to straighten that out.
So
Because
how-
that was discussed at our strategic planning, and, you know, that.
So how many goals does that, are we at right now? So I'm worried about two.
I'm assuming that those subcommittee communications is a sub of the board organization and policy creation.
Could very well be. That's for you to decide.
I'm additionally making the assumption that the involvement in the facade grant revolving only funds and liquor license applications are all part of the retention visits and business owner operations.
I think that's just day-to-day operations.
That's just part of your, part of your job. How many, Kelly?
We have 5, as long as that last one that you were discussing is included in the board organizational roles.
I'm comfortable with,
I am too.
I am too.
I'm comfortable with those 5. Because there are a lot to do.
Do you need to formally adopt those goals?
I think we should.
You want me to repeat them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Create for board consideration, financial policies, agenda, processes, policy, board organizational roles and responsibilities. To be more involved in the community and include in her monthly report. Attempt to meet with business owners and district regularly. Develop budget for 2021, which meets the DDA objectives and business retention.
I think business retention goes back with your third one, or the meeting with business owners and retention, those can go together.
Well, I had a different thought on that. I just wanted to see her get out and introduce herself to businesses.
Okay.
Then separately go
Okay.
after
Okay, okay.
the business retention.
We can treat them separately.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So I would,
Okay.
So separate them, Kelly.
Erase that
And I guess you just mentioned the job description. I didn't have that as a goal. I don't know where that was being put.
I would like to add that as a 6th because she needs it. She's told us she needs it.
Do those include the job descriptions of where you're going to see if we could get some help?
Yes. I applied for the Economic Development Director position in December. I came for my interview for the Office Administrator position in April. And when I came, my title was Executive Director. It was full-time from the administrator position, but it didn't come with a job description. So it's a company, I'm operating under the assumption of the job that I applied for and the job that I interviewed for.
Make a motion to board adopts those 6 goals as stated.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further comment? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I would just ask that you put those in the proper format and get it out to all board members, just so they understand where they are.
And share the strategic plan report before the packet.
Yes, as soon as we don't have it yet, do we?
No.
Okay, so as soon as we get it,
Yeah.
please share it.
Okay. I'll reach out.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, I'm just going to make one comment, just so you know, I've offered Caitlin to move up to the 2nd floor. It has a much larger office and accessible to the conference room. I know it's got to be, I think it's got to be really difficult for her to hold meetings in that little office of hers. So this has, actually, it's a very spacious office and it's right across from the conference. I think it'll fit her a little bit better. So
Have you accepted?
it's up to her. if she wants to.
You have to answer that publicly.
You need help moving, let me know. Offer it
That's great.
For those of you old enough to remember the Jeffersons, moving on.
That's right.
If you choose.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Barry makes another report and support.
Thanks.
Thank you.